Welcome to Crimepedia. I am your host, Morgan. I hope you're having a wonderful day. And with me, as always, is the lovely Cherry. Hello, Cherry. How are you?
Hello, I'm good, thank you. How are you doing? That was
I am
very Joey,
doing
wasn't it?
well.
Friends, how are you doing?
How you doing? I'm doing very well, thank you.
Good, good. And we need to say hello to a couple of new people that have joined our Patreon this week. So hello to Samantha and also to Jennifer. Thank you very much for being part of our team.
Thank you very much. And if you want to join our Patreon, you can do so by visiting us at patreon.com/crimepedia, where you can sign up for our Patreon for as little as $2 a month.
I think we should organize some sort of something for Halloween on our Patreon. We should maybe do some kind of live watch along or something for Halloween.
Oh, that's a good idea. Even though I don't like scary movies, but
maybe we should watch a funny one or something, one that we haven't seen. Maybe because otherwise, if we do one that one of us has seen, it's going to ruin it. So maybe we could watch something both of us haven't seen. That would be quite
that's
cool.
True.
That'd be good. Yeah, that'd be fun.
We got to think of something.
Yeah, I love Halloween, so that'd be good.
I feel like this time of year is like the time of year where I get interested in things like these ghost hunting shows. Even though I don't believe in ghosts necessarily,
yeah,
it's still, to me, it's interesting.
Yeah,
it's like I'm gonna check them out.
Wow, I don't watch stuff like that usually. I don't normally watch things like that. I'm not really much of a horror fan either. You know, like I've seen Saw, but like that kind of thing. I think once you've watched it once, I'm not going to bother watching the rest because it's kind of the same with like American Horror Story and stuff. I loved the first one, really liked the second one, but then after that, it kind of got a bit samey. So I don't tend to watch horror kind of stuff. I like the more detective-y kind of that kind of things, the stuff that makes your brain work.
I don't like horror movies. I've never liked them. I don't like being scared. I don't like jump scares. I don't like any of that.
You're such a wuss.
I know.
You are such a wuss. We need to have a horror film night when I come over because it'll be so fun.
I forget who it was. I was talking to one of my friends, and they know that I have this podcast and I talk true crime, and they were like, I would really like to come across a dead body sometime. Like, and they were like, wouldn't you? I'm like, no,
no,
thank you.
Well, sometimes when I've sent you crime scene photos and I've been, look at this is really interesting. You're like, yeah, no, I don't want to see that. I'll leave that to you.
That is really
so funny,
my least favorite part of this. Is my least favorite part. Yeah. I know that some scenes it makes sense and you need to see
you
it.
Do, yeah.
I think that but here's the thing. I think with pictures, I can detach myself from it.
Yeah.
Where it's not real. But if you come across a body in real life,
there in front of you.
You cannot detach from that.
Nobody wants to see that, do they? Nobody wants to see someone dead.
Oh no, my friend does.
Do. Some people do.
My friend was like, I want to find a dead body.
That's weird. That's really weird. Keep a note of that friend's name. That's strange. That's a really strange thing. Yeah, that's strange.
Very, very,
very weird. Nah, I'll leave the body finding to your friends.
We got some exciting news for coming up this week with CrimeCon UK.
I know, yes.
So general tickets, so sales to the general public begin actually midweek this week.
Exciting.
So very, very excited. So if you are interested in going to CrimeCon UK next year in June, those tickets are going to go on sale. And you can get a nice little discount at checkout when you use our promo code Crimepedia.
Now, so this is going to be good because obviously this year was the first CrimeCon in England, and so now we've been speaking to the organisers, and next year it's going to be bigger and it's going to be even better. And this year was really good, so next year is going to be even bigger and better. Plus, both of us are going to be there next year, which is exciting because it'll be a CrimeCon we're going to do together, the first UK CrimeCon together. And
I know.
Because I've been this year, now I know where all the good pizza places are. So we're not going to be hungry next year because this year we were hungry all the time. Next year, we're going to be sorted. But no, it's really, really nice. It's right by St. Paul's Cathedral. The hotel is amazing. It's in the same hotel next year. I know that some of our regular listeners have already got their tickets for next year. So definitely get yourself your tickets early because the closer it gets to the event, the more the tickets go up. So the earlier you get them, then the better it's going to be. So You can plan it as well. You can plan ahead a bit more. If you know it's coming up, it's quite good because you can budget for it. They are doing budget-friendly options for paying now. You don't have to pay it all in one go either, which is also really
Yep.
handy considering obviously we've got Christmas just coming around the corner. So that's also really good. And then we've got obviously Vegas next year as
Yes, we
well,
do.
which is in April. So
April.
if you're a US listener or over that side of the pond, then you can get your tickets. I think I've been reliably informed it's NFL draft weekend, so it's very
It
busy.
is.
So get your tickets as soon as you can, because I understand
Yeah.
that hotel prices are going to soar before before that happens. So get yourself
Yeah.
a discount. Use our Crimepedia at checkout.
I would say if you are considering or you are pretty sure you're going to go, I would suggest
Yeah.
getting that stuff booked as soon as possible. Because
Yeah,
you're right. So
definitely.
NFL draft next year, same weekend in Vegas.
In
So
Vegas.
it's gonna be crazy.
Oh, it's going to be exciting though.
I know. I'm
I'm
gonna
so
make a bold
excited.
prediction for CrimeCon UK next year.
Okay.
There will be another Crimepedia Live.
I hope so.
Because you did such a great job. There's absolutely no way they're not going to be like, hey, we want you guys to do another one.
I hope so, because I was really nervous, to be honest. I was very nervous before the live, and I'm not generally an emotional person, but the minute I met Keisha, literally I just started welling up the minute I met her. And it was really hard because obviously we do this job and we talk about these cases, and very rarely do we actually get to meet the victims or the victims' families in person. And so when you do actually meet that person in person and they hug you and they say thank you so much for covering the case, it kind of makes you think, oh my God, this is her worst nightmare that we're talking about. And it's just, it brings it really, like, slaps you in the face at how real it actually is. And it's it was quite a raw emotional episode if you haven't already heard it. So yeah.
We've had quite a few like direct contact working with families in these cases recently, which is good. And I've enjoyed it. We've been talking to Sandy and Sandra Sutherland recently.
Yeah.
The parents of Stefan Sutherland, which we covered a few weeks, about a month ago, I think it was.
Yeah.
So we've talked to him.
That's still ongoing as well.
It is. The case that we're going to be covering today, we've been talking to the daughter of the victim. So it's been very interesting times for us here. And
it's been very humbling as well that people have actually reached out to us and asked us to cover their families' cases, and that we're so thankful for that, because that's really, it means a lot to us that somebody trusts you with something like that and will sit and talk to you and go over things with you like that, so that you can go off and do the investigations that you do. And I'm working on a few things hopefully for next year, which would be, there's a few cases that I've been looking into that are going to take quite a lot of work, and they might end up being sort of multiple episode cases. So that's that's something we're also working on, which is really good. So there's a lot more to come, from our little podcast, and we won an award.
Oh, we did win an award.
We won an award. How exciting!
Congratulations, Sherry, on being a co-host of a award-winning podcast.
How nice is it to say that? We are now an award-winning podcast. That is amazing. I'm so proud of us.
Yeah, so if you are not following us on our socials, we did win a silver award from the W3 Awards for, what was it? It was General Series
Best
Documentary
Podcast. Yeah. I know. I was so proud. I rang my mum. I was like, guess what? We won an award. And she was like, oh my God, do you get a trophy? And I was like, no, but we get a certificate.
Well,
that's just
you can get a trophy.
Nah.
You can get a trophy.
But where are we going to put it?
You want
it's quite
to.
Big.
I don't know.
I don't want.
How cool, but seriously, how cool would it be to have that trophy standing on our table at Comic-Con?
It would, wouldn't it? It would be nice.
Right next to our friends from True Crime Garage, and we'd be like, hey, where's your trophy?
Check out our award. Oh, you're so mean. You're so competitive. So competitive. So funny. So funny.
I love them, though.
Yeah, we do love them.
Guys.
Right, so what are we doing this week? Let's get to our case.
On an early Monday morning in January 2007, the body of a woman is found nude and posed off of a country road nearly 30 miles from where she was last seen the night before. the woman was deemed a transient and a drug addict, and her murder would quickly fall from the public eye. But this woman was a loving mother whose children refused to give up hope that her murder would one day be solved. This is Crimepedia, and this is The Murder of Karen Bodine. All right, Cherry. So, 37-year-old Karen Bodine was a mother of three, originally from the small town of Tumwater in Thurston County, Washington. Karen was the type of woman who would instantly brighten up a room the moment she walked in. She was eclectic and feisty. But when Karen was in high school, her older brother Greg was in a serious car accident, which nearly killed him and left him in a coma for months.
Oh, no.
To deal with the grief associated with nearly losing her brother, Karen would turn to drugs and alcohol as a way to cope. Karen would struggle with addiction and was often in and out of rehab. Her struggles with substance abuse would lead her into choosing I can't talk. All right. Karen struggled with addiction and was often in and out of rehab. Her struggles with substance abuse would lead her to losing custody of her three children, who would all be placed with their maternal grandparents. Despite losing custody of her children, Karen would remain an active presence in their lives. In 2006, Karen was dating a man by the name of Kevin, and by September of that year, she had moved into his home in Lacey, Washington. Now, her family did believe that around that time, Karen may have stopped using drugs for a few months. However, on Friday, January 19th, 2007, Karen and Kevin got into an argument, and the police were called to the home. Karen was asked to leave the residence, and a no-contact order was put into place. Now, this seems like this was more than just a verbal or argument, yelling, screaming. I believe it did get physical. So there was a physical confrontation between the two.
Oh, dear. Okay.
Now, Karen would pack up some of her belongings and would walk down the street to a mutual friend's house by the name of Jim Hunt. His house was near 14th Avenue Southeast in Golf Club Road in Lacey, and was known to be a party house where lots of drinking and drug use occurred. Which
is not good for obviously her being clean.
No, not at all.
To be in that kind of environment, it's not good for her.
Yeah, it's the last place that anyone in that sort of situation would want to be. And then you got to imagine too, she's probably already in an altered state from having
of course.
Conflict with her boyfriend and being kicked out. So,
and of course, she's already down, and so the first thing she's going to do when she goes into a house like that is then gonna, get high or have a drink.
Oh yeah,
that's a shame.
Now it's known that numerous people were reportedly in and out of the house while Karen was there, which may have contributed to creating a highly stressful and contentious situation at the home. Now, on Saturday, an acquaintance of Jim's asked Karen if she wanted to go to the beach with them. This acquaintance would end up leaving Karen at the beach in hopes that she would not return to Jim's house.
Oh my God.
It's terrible.
Just leave her there.
Yeah. But Karen would still end up back at Jim's home by that evening.
Yeah.
I mean, look, if there's, tension going on in the house or you don't want someone there, just ask, like, hey, can you find somewhere else to stay? Don't ditch them.
Yeah, exactly. Don't just leave them. I mean, it depends. How far was the beach? I mean, they're just going to drop her off and leave her there.
Well, first off, this is what I'm thinking too, because this is January and this is in, near Olympia, Washington.
It's like our beach weather. So she got her wellies?
Yeah, it's gonna be cold. It's not beach weather. So it's like, yeah, let's go to the beach. I mean,
also, what's the I wonder what kind of pretense they got her there under. Because in January, let's go to the beach. Is it a group of them? Is it just her and one person? Is it a romantic thing? Is it like are they under the pretense that it's gonna be a bit of, that kind of thing? You know.
I don't know. It's weird
It's
though, right?
weird. Yeah, it's weird.
It's very weird. Now, according to police, while Karen was staying with Jim, there were a couple of altercations between the two of them in which police were called and had responded.
Okay.
Now, at one point on Sunday, January 21st, Karen was asked to leave the house after another altercation with Jim.
Oh
According to
dear.
some reports, Karen had locked herself inside the only bathroom in the house, which irritated some of the other people hanging out there. Now, Jim would proceed to either kick in or push open the bathroom door, which hit Karen in the head.
Oh.
After this altercation, Karen would leave Jim's house and would start walking around the neighborhood. Now, a neighbor would notice Karen wandering around the streets without a warm coat on and was so worried that they ended up calling the police. A officer would quickly respond and stopped to see how she was doing.
Mm.
But when he offered to give her a ride to her parents' house, she refused, saying that she was okay and that she was just out walking, trying to clear her head.
Okay. And he knew her parents, didn't he?
He did, yeah. So he
So
he was he knew who she was and he knew who her parents were. So
So he would be
uh,
maybe aware of her situation, the fact that she did have a substance problem if he knew her
mhm,
parents.
that's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, from what I understand, after she did speak with the police officer, she would make her way back again to Jim's house.
Oh, okay. So she did get back.
Yes. So it's my understanding
Okay.
she did go back to Jim's house, and I believe that she was there until about 3 a.m. and that was the last sighting or the last time that she was actually in the house. So sometime after 3 a.m., the people that were at the house and that were aware that she was there have stated that they knew that she at that point she had left the house. On the morning of Monday, January 22nd, at around 8:45 a.m., the body of Karen Bodine was found by a passing motorist on Little Rock Road Southwest near the town of Rochester, Washington.
Oh.
This is approximately 20 miles to the southeast of Lacey. When she was found, her body was actually out in the open, about 15 feet off the road at the entrance to a gravel pit. Now, this gravel pit was generally known to be a dumping ground,
Oh
which
no.
itself was located just behind a solid waste drop box facility.
Oh no.
So this drop box facility is a place where you take solid waste or like things like construction debris to.
Yeah.
But I feel like if you go around the corner, if you have something that they can't take or that you can't drop there,
Mm.
also it costs money to
Yeah.
for to do this. So let's say that you have stuff to you know throw away or to get rid of,
Mm.
but you don't want to pay the $18 or whatever it is a pound or whatever it might be.
Mm.
You're just going to go around the corner and you just dump it.
Dump it. Right. Okay.
Now, Karen was completely nude, lying on her back with her head propped up on a discarded bucket seat from a car.
Oh wow.
Her death was determined to have been caused by strangulation. In fact, the ligature that was used to kill Karen was found still around her neck.
Oh no.
She had numerous bruises on her body and had a superficial injury to her forehead, which possibly could have been caused by the door being kicked in at Jim's house when
Oh
they're
yeah.
trying to
Of
get her out of the
course. Yeah.
bathroom.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, we kind of talked about this a little bit before we started recording. Even though this gravel pit is a known dumping site,
Mm.
I kind of feel like you almost had to know that this was there, and you had to be from the area in order to really see it, because this is
Yeah.
it's a country road. It's like a back road. It's a busy road, from what I understand.
Yeah.
The speed limit is about 55 miles an hour. It's very windy, right?
Yeah.
So and then you got to imagine. So if her body was discovered at 8:45 in the morning, let's say that her body had been there for an hour. In
Mm.
January, it's not going to get light until
No, that's
you
right,
know,
until later, yeah.
later, right? So if you have her and she's in your car and you're driving down this road, if it's dark and you don't know that this is out there, you're gonna miss it.
I'm also interested, but also with this okay, so yeah, it looks like from we're looking at the maps, it looks like somewhere you'd have to know. But then at the same time, if you knew that area, you'd also
Mhm.
know that you've got that place that you go and dump all the stuff and pay to dump it. So you know that people go there. So the chances of her
Yeah,
being found are very it's very going to be likely that she's going to be found. So you're dumping her in a place where you know that people are going to
yeah,
find her.
yeah, and they weren't worried about her being found
No. So that's quite
because
brazen.
the way that she was found. So the person that found her actually, they said that when they drove past, they saw her legs sticking out,
Yeah.
and they thought, oh, this must be might have been a
A
mannequin.
mannequin, yeah.
But something, caused them to stop and turn around and check it out, and that's when they're like, "Oh,
Thankfully. Yeah.
this is a woman."
Mm.
So there was no effort to conceal her.
No, to conceal her.
If you go to, like, Google Street View,
Yeah.
it's a heavily wooded area.
Yeah.
It wouldn't take much to take her and dump her out in the woods, and she wouldn't have been found for
No,
much
that's right.
longer.
Yeah.
But rather, you kinda go to this little, and when I say it's an entrance to a gravel pit, it's
Yeah.
almost like a turnabout. Like, it's a good place that you would go and stop if, like, you had a flat tire or something,
Yeah. You could just pull in.
but you're not gonna be driving all the way into the gravel pit because there's a gate, so you're not getting past the gate.
No.
So you would really be pulling into this little pull off, getting her body out and then taking off.
Yeah. I'm interested to know about that actually. Do we know about the actual crime scene itself? Do we
Mhm.
know if so I'm actually just looking at the gravel pit now and I can actually see there's flowers there. There's a little cross
Oh,
and there's
yeah.
actually flowers there where she was found. And it's really not very far. I mean, you can see it from the road. You can actually look across and see exactly where she was left there. But I wonder, is there any looking at what's there now? I think this must be like recently. This is October 2016. So yeah, um, was there any signs of her being dragged from the car? Because if it was two people, chances are they would have carried her, not dragged her out of the
Yeah.
car and dragged her along and put her down. So the chances are with that, it would have been somebody would have carried her. But if it was one person, then you would think that they would have got her out of the car and then dragged her across. The
Yeah.
the entrance to this gravel pit here where the gate is at the moment obviously is all tarmacked. So I wonder if back then was it tarmac back then or was it just like
Oh, that's good.
a
Yeah.
dirt road? Because here it's actually tarmac, but it looks afresh because looking at the road, the actual main road there, this little rock road, it looks a different. It's a darker tarmac. So I'm guessing this has been recently tarmacked. Um,
Yeah, it looks
with
like that way, yeah.
after she obviously was found there, but
Mhm.
that's
Yeah,
there's no effort whatsoever. This person now, if they're driving on this road and the gravel pit is on their left hand side, okay, so that would be your driver's side. So I'm guessing that this person was driving the other way towards Rochester
yes, that's what I would think. Yeah.
because they would have been able to pull in unless they've pulled right across the carriageway into that side, which
Mhm.
I don't know whether what direction. I would say sensibly, they would be coming towards Rochester, to
They'd be
pull
heading
straight
toward,
in.
yes.
Yeah,
So they'd be heading south, like, really
south.
south on
Yeah,
this Little Rock Road
but didn't
southwest.
you say
Yes,
it
that's
was like
correct.
20 miles away from where she was?
From Lacey. Yeah,
Right.
from Lacey.
So
That's correct.
from where she was last seen, she was then found 20 miles away.
That's why I think this makes sense in my head, right?
Okay.
That whoever did this
Yeah.
is someone who's at least familiar with Rochester in the
Yeah.
area,
Yeah.
right? Because once again, if you are from Lacey, now Lacey is a part of, I would say, Greater Olympia, right? So the state capital, right? So
Okay.
if you're from that area, from Olympia, I don't think Rochester is really a type of town or city that you're going to really do much of anything, right? I
Mm.
feel like Rochester is a type of place where if you live in Rochester, maybe you're driving up to Olympia for work. But if you're from Olympia, you're really not driving down to Rochester.
Do you think that just looking at this area on the street view, I mean, the reason I think particularly that the person was coming from Rochester was because directly opposite where she was found is an even bigger like pull-in
Yeah.
where you could turn around your
Yeah.
car. And obviously, I can see here
Exactly.
that there's. So I'm thinking that they were coming from that direction and they've pulled in there. And
Yep.
but they
No,
they
I think you're
literally
right.
have pulled their car off the road, taken her out, and just lay her down. So I don't. That's what is quite interesting to me is that there's been no attempt whatsoever to conceal her. So was it a rush
No.
job? Did they just do it quickly out of impulse and just got her out? And I mean, do we know? Is there any DNA? Has anything been tested? Has she got any DNA on her whatsoever?
Okay, so they did find DNA. Now, even though she was nude, there was no sign of sexual assault at all. Now,
Good. That's good.
they were able to find some DNA samples on her body, and it
Right.
was samples from five, I'll call them five different donors, male donors.
Oh wow. Okay.
Okay. So they do have DNA.
Hmm. Yeah.
Uh, so they do have that. I agree with you. I think it was a rush job.
Hmm.
Um, if you go and you looked at it, you saw where the flowers are in the
Yeah. It's
crop,
horrible. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
If you look, it doesn't take that much more work to kind of go. There's like a little hill there, right?
Yeah.
A small hill.
Mm.
It's not much to take a body over to the other side
No,
of the hill,
into the
and
brush,
no one's
yeah.
gonna find it.
No,
No
that's
one's gonna
right.
find it.
And that's what doesn't make sense to me is that there's been no attempt whatsoever to conceal her. So that makes me think it's one person and that the person's panicked. They've pulled in, they've panicked because there's nothing to say that she was dead when they put her there. You know, because I mean, we're talking
Yeah,
it's cold. What was do they know what the cause of death was? Did they give a cause of death?
strangulation. No, it
So
was
what? Oh, sorry, you
strangulation
did say that. Yeah, you
because
did say that. So yeah, so the chances are she probably already had died before they put her down there, and they've panicked, pulled over, and
that's
put her
correct.
down. And there's been no sign of her clothing or any of her possessions
No,
ever since. No,
no, no, not at all. Now,
interesting.
this is what I want to ask you. The
Mm-hmm.
ligature was still around her neck. Do you
Mm.
think that she was killed there, or do you think she was killed elsewhere
No, I
and then
think she was
driven
killed
down?
elsewhere and dropped there because this person has made no attempt to hide her. So I think that this was a quick. I think that this was a quick deposit, and then the person's gone again in a panicked way because there doesn't seem to be it doesn't seem to be a lot of time. I mean, if this person had a bit of time, they could have literally just put her just I mean, not even 5 meters more, and there's a lot of trees there, and they could have hidden her
Yeah,
away there. So this makes me think that this has happened and they've panicked, and why they've dropped her there, I don't really know. But obviously, you know, it's right on the roadside, so someone is going to see her. This person obviously realizes that someone is going to find her. I mean, obviously, on this street view, the camera is in a vehicle, and you can clearly see the area. So it doesn't make a lot of sense to me why that person has just done that and just left her there.
yeah.
And I think
Now,
I don't know if this is an accident, possibly. You know,
but then why would there be a ligature around her neck if it was an accident?
well, you don't know. It could be a sexual game before they got started. It could have been. I mean, you think, but it's
I
not
mean, I
penetrative
could.
sex. So it could have been. It could have been another type of sex. It could have been a game that they were playing. It could have been a foreplay thing. You don't know, do you? It could have
I
been something that just
guess.
went stupidly wrong.
I think it depends on what the ligature was, right?
Yeah,
If the ligature was I don't know, maybe if it was like a tie or something, okay, possibly. But if it was like a
a
piece of
rope or
like
something. Yeah, that's
a
right.
rope
Different.
or
Yeah,
something, or
yeah.
like a piece of copper, I don't know, whatever. Then no,
Mm,
I don't think so. So I really think it depends on what the actual ligature was.
yeah.
Now there was a possible break with this case. Okay,
Right.
about an hour before her body was discovered, there was a car that was spotted near where her body was found.
Okay.
So in that pull off, okay. So a witness described what they saw. It was either a 1980s brown or orange, either a Datsun car or possibly a truck with a lighter type camper shell.
Mm.
So the front of the car, so which is weird to me, right? So I don't know how you get a Datsun and a truck
Mixed up.
confused. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say it was probably a Datsun. If
Mm.
you're gonna go out and you're gonna say specifically it was a Datsun car,
Mm.
so like a Datsun type like station wagon, which is what
Mm.
I'm imagining. Which to me, this is a very distinctive vehicle. So someone should know, like, okay, in 27 or 2007,
Mm.
if you know someone that was driving a
Yeah.
1980s brown or orange Datsun vehicle, or even if it was a truck with a lighter type camper shell, you should know.
Yeah.
Especially if this is someone who frequented Jim Hunt's house,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So to me, I think that this is someone who was at Jim Hunt's house that weekend, right?
Right.
Who somehow either killed her there at Jim's house or was able to, get her out and possibly offer her a ride somewhere else because she was getting
Yeah.
kicked out of the house.
Yeah.
If that's the case, someone at Jim's house has to know who it is.
But then saying that, I don't know if you can make that assumption because she could have been hitchhiking. She could have been hitchhiking,
Oh,
picked up by
yeah.
somebody because we know that she left the party. We know that she was asked to leave. And we
Yeah.
know that the policeman saw her and she said, "No, it's okay. I've got a way of getting home." Well, I mean, it might be that she didn't actually go anywhere near Jim's house again. And it could be that she ended up getting get thumbing a lift and getting a lift from somebody, which has just gone
Yeah.
badly wrong. So this could be
Yeah.
a complete stranger scenario. I've just looked up and down Little Rock road. So I've just been looking up and down it, and there's lots of these little like pull-in pockets along this
Yes.
main straight road, and there's a lot more areas that are more densely overgrown, and the trees are higher. So to
Yep.
me, there's a turning not very far up from where she is. If you're going sort of north, like northeast kind of up this road,
Mhm.
there's a turning that goes off to the left. And I wonder, have they come off of that onto this road? And the first pull in that they've come to, they've dumped her in there. Because that would be the first pull in you'd come to turning off that road. If you carry on going up and down that road, either way, keep going, there's lots more pull
Mhm.
ins. So I wonder whether the very first one after it's going to a place called, hang on, I'll just get it for you. Um, it says it's a place called Sargent Road.
Sergeant, or
So
yep.
Sargent Road. So I'm wondering, did this person pull off of Sargent Road and come down that way? Because Sargent Road has got a couple of these big pull-ins, but they're into. You can see the recycling facility that you said about. You can see that there's not so many dense little pockets that you could dump her off in there. There's a
Yeah.
couple of like wooded bits, but not really a big enough sort of like to pull your car off out the way. Whereas in that other pull-in, you could pull your car right off, and there's houses there, so I don't think they're going to pull off there. So just looking at that, I wonder if they've pulled off of Sargent Road, come straight there, turned right, gone down towards Rochester, and the first pull off they've come to is where they've let her, they've let her body go.
Possibly. So okay. So I mean, I did a driving directions on Google, right? To say, okay,
Yeah,
if I'm coming from Lacey and
yeah,
I'm going to Rochester, which way would I go, right?
yeah,
So the first, the quickest way, or this is the quickest way, would be to take I-5 South down from Olympia,
yeah.
getting off at Maytown Road Southwest, and you did take that, and that will lead you directly to this Little Rock Road Southwest, right?
Hmm.
So if they're doing that way, they're passing numerous places where you could dump a body,
Exactly. Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Not only that, if you look at where the site was where they left her body,
Yeah.
if you go just a little bit to the north, you'll see that there's actually another, like, small little pull off,
Yeah, I did
um,
see that. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Where there's actually a path
Yeah.
that you could actually you couldn't drive back
No,
there.
but you
It
could
doesn't look
walk
like
down
it.
there. Yeah.
Easily, you
Yeah.
could get a body and you could take it up into, like, this wooded area.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm so confused at there are
Yeah.
so many places where you could have left her body, but you chose this spot,
Yeah.
which is, I
Why?
mean,
Why that spot?
she's out in the open.
Mm.
It makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
That's why I'm it's confusing from a standpoint because you're not doing anything to try to conceal what
No.
happened and to hide her
No.
body. Almost like you want her to be found,
Yeah.
and you want her to be found quickly.
Quickly. Yeah, that's right. That's strange, isn't it?
So maybe it wasn't an accident that and it went too things something went too far?
Yeah, and they've just panicked. I mean, that's
I
like
don't
my
know.
initial straight away, that's my initial thoughts. This seems like a real like a desperation. They've just literally just tried to just got rid of her quickly, and that's it. You know, this is not somebody who has
Like
premeditated and planned a way to get rid of a body, regardless of who they've got. This is
mhm,
this is seems to me like a quick thing, and I wonder then. So that makes me wonder then is it somebody she knew? Possibly not. This could have been somebody that picked her up that that then thought, okay, I'll chance my arm here. It's a woman walking on her own, dressed not really for
mhm.
the weather. She's a bit, I mean, I'm guessing she was under the influence of something because it was a party. So I'm guessing she was
Yeah.
under the influence of something that night
Mhm.
and they've just taken their chance. So possibly that's straight away my thoughts straight away from hearing that.
Yeah. Now, here's a thought for you,
Hmm.
okay? Now, I don't have the statistics in front of me, but
Right.
typically, people who killers who know that they cannot be linked back to bodies are more than willing to leave bodies out in the open, right?
Yeah. Yeah, of course.
Typically, if you are familiar with the victim and you know that you have some sort of connection to them
Yeah.
and things can get you can get linked back to them, you usually go out of your way to hide the
To
body.
hide it. Yeah, that's right.
So I kind of feel like this whoever did this didn't know who she was. Wasn't worried about, having someone going, "Oh, I saw this person with her."
Yeah.
So maybe a thought of her hitchhiking or getting a ride from a stranger is a
Yeah.
possibility.
Yeah.
Maybe it did happen.
Yeah. It makes me think that that could be the case. Could it be the case? Yes, it could. Could it be that that somebody's just picked their chance? They've seen her walking along a road, they've picked her up, and I mean, the person that, I mean, it would be interesting to know if anybody had picked her up that night. And you know what it's like if
Mhm.
somebody's found dead and then they say, you know, did you see this woman and somebody did pick her up and give her a lift? Are they going to come forward to the police? Probably not, because they're going to be worried that they're going to be put in the frame for this. But it could be that she hitchhiked a few times before. Somebody says, "Oh, I'm going this far. Yeah, that's great. Can I have a lift this far?" And then you get out, and then she gets a lift somewhere else with somebody else. But I mean, where would she be going from where she left Jim's house? Where would she go? She said she had somewhere to go. I'm guessing that was back to Jim's. But where would she go? So if she was
Yeah.
going to get a ride. Where would she ask to be taken? I mean, she's 20 miles away.
The only other place you would go, really, I think, would be
Her
her
parents.
parents' house.
But then the police put her at list to the parents. She said no. So she obviously wasn't going to go to her parents' house because she could have got a safe ride with him. So that seems strange. If she was going to be getting hitching a lift, where would she ask to be taken? It'd be quite interesting to know. Is there anybody else that she might have turned to that maybe
Yeah.
wasn't close to where her home was, where Jim's was? Where was the boyfriend on this night? Have they confirmed his whereabouts?
I believe they have,
Okay.
and so he is not considered a suspect. So
Right,
apparently
okay. So
he
he didn't get
does have
pissed
an
at her
alibi.
then. Right, okay.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's what my first thought would be, right?
Well, of
My
course, it
first
always
thought would
is,
be,
isn't it?
okay, yeah, so you're at a house you're right down the street from the boyfriend's house. You're at a place. You're getting
Mm,
kicked out of it.
mm,
Um, you're gonna maybe she goes back to the boyfriend's house and then something happens. Yeah,
yeah,
that's my first thought. But he from it's my understanding that Kevin has been he's not a suspect in his whereabouts, or at least he has an alibi for
yeah,
when she
yeah.
disappeared.
So, yeah, so that's not so we can't go with him then.
Yeah.
Because that would be my first, my first one would be, okay, where was he? What was he
Mhm,
doing? Has she got any other known enemies? Is there anything else
mhm.
that we need to know? Anybody else that she's fallen out with? But then if she's, I mean, people under the influence of stuff sometimes are nuisances. As much as you love them, sometimes they can be a bit of a nuisance. And if, I mean, she's
Yeah.
acting up in a way that her children are being taken away from her, and she's being given a restraining order, or a non-contact order for home, then obviously, under the influence, she perhaps is a bit, troubled and maybe angry. I don't know. I'd have to look into that to see how she was acting. Why was she given these,
Mhm.
orders? Why was she asked to leave? Why wasn't he asked to leave?
Well,
So why was it her?
she was asked to leave because the house was in his name. It was his house.
Oh, okay, so it's his house. That's why she was asked to leave then. So,
Yep.
I mean, she obviously didn't want to go back to her parents where her kids were.
Mhm.
So there must be somebody else that she would have turned to. Where else would she have gone? If she's fallen out with Jim and she's fallen out with the boyfriend, where else would she who else would she have turned to? Are there any friends? Is there anyone? Where does she get her drugs or drink from? Where does she get
Exactly.
that
Yeah.
from? So who
Mhm.
would she turn to?
Yeah.
So I'd be
I mean, and
interested to know that.
obviously the people that she was with or that was around that weekend are probably some of the least reliable people that you
Yeah.
could have.
No, and there's
For
obviously
example,
there's
like on
drinks and drugs there. Their recollection is probably not going to be very
yeah.
reliable either.
Well, on Saturday, I know that on Saturday there was an acquaintance of Jim's who asked Karen if she wanted to go to the beach, and Karen said yeah. And then this acquaintance end up leaving her at the beach.
So why?
So these are
That's
people
right.
that have
Yeah.
very little, concern for her or her safety, or
Yeah.
they could care less about her, which is really
No, it's
unfortunate
really sad.
because
Yeah.
look where it led.
Mm, that's right. So yeah, I'd be interested to know who was at the party, who was showing her attention at the party, who was talking to her. Was there anybody that left after her? Was there anybody
Mhm.
once she left? Was there anybody that wasn't there anymore? But then, like you say, the witnesses are probably not going to be the most reliable witnesses either, because they're probably off their faces on something. So yeah, it's
Yeah,
really unfortunate. But I can't believe that nobody saw anything. I mean, we're talking
exactly.
about, so what day was it she was found? What day of the week?
It was Monday. It was a
Right, okay,
Monday.
so we're talking about a work day, and we're talking about 8:45, which is like prime time, busy driving to and from work. So there's going to
Yeah.
be people
Well,
about at that time, surely.
and when they spotted the car near where her body was left, that
Yeah.
would have been like around 7:45.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, people are coming and going constantly down the street.
Yeah. It's not like it's a tiny little back road that nobody's going to be driving past. I mean, they were talking a main road. So that's really interesting. So I wonder how long she'd actually be. I mean, that's the other thing. I was going to ask you that. So from the condition of her body, what have they said in the autopsy? Like, how long do they think she was dead?
Um, I am not sure.
Right.
So
Okay.
they
So we need to
believe
check.
it would have happened sometime after 3 a.m.
So between 3 a.m. and 7:45.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So we're only talking like a 4 hour window, really, like
Mhm.
a 4.5 hour window, if that's the case. So we're looking for this to have happened very quickly, then possibly after she left Jim's place. And I'd be interested to know, was she covered in anything? How were her feet? Were her feet dirty? Because
That's a good
it would
quote. Yeah.
determine then, did she walk out of the car?
Hmm.
Or, and what the ligature is. So what was the ligature? Was that a piece of her clothing? Was it of somebody else's clothing? What was it? That would be very interesting. Also, the DNA, it'd be interesting to find what DNA. I mean, are we talking semen? Are we talking blood? Are we talking, what are we talking? Because five different types of DNA. We need to know what kind of DNA this is. Is this just touch DNA, or is this, you know, proper full-on DNA samples.
Yeah. Now there is DNA that has been left untested in this case, right?
What?
So in so yeah, so they have DNA which they have never tested, and people have offered to pay for DNA testing on some of these items, and it has up until now they've declined every time.
What's the reason that they've not tested the DNA?
I
Oh, you don't
I
know?
don't know. I don't know. It could be the fact that there is so little of it that
Little. Yeah.
that
Yeah.
they
They
want
don't
to
wanna do
destroy
yeah.
what they have. Now,
Yeah.
there's other crazy things that occurred when she was discovered. So the seat that she was partially found on was never taken into evidence,
What?
and anything that her body was actually touching, nothing that her body was touching was taken in as evidence in this
Why
case.
not?
I think I don't know. You know what? I hate to say it, but I think part of it has to do with the fact of where she was in her life at that time, right? So she was a known drug user. She had substance abuse issues. I don't think when they found her that the police were all too concerned.
Oh, that's really bad. Because nobody
That's just
deserves that,
my
whether they take
opinion.
dr yeah,
Yeah,
whether they take drugs and they've got issues like that, they don't deserve to
mhm.
be killed and to
No,
behave like that. The thing yeah, see, that's interesting. Where did this seat come from? And,
exactly. Yeah,
was it already there? Had anybody seen it that week just laying there? So where did the seat come from?
yeah.
I mean, I
Did
can't
it come?
think that somebody took it out of a car and put it down and then lay her on it. I doubt it's gonna be from the car that left her there.
Yeah, I mean, I
That would be
agree.
weird.
I mean, it would be weird. Like, why would
Why
you
would you
do
take the
that? I
seat
mean,
out? But so
because that
the
would
seat
just
hasn't been tested for anything.
no, the seat's gone.
Oh my god, that's so crazy. Because that seat will obviously belong to a certain make of car, and
Yeah.
there must be something that can link that to a vehicle.
Like, what if you find out? I mean, I highly doubt it, but what if that seat was, I don't know, from a Datsun vehicle?
No, exactly. What if it was a Datsun seat? That's what I was
Mhm.
just wondering. Like, I mean, surely that's got to be allocated to a type of vehicle. There's going to be a type of seat that it is. Also, I mean, why haven't they tested that for any DNA, any blood, any semen, anything at all? Why
Anything.
was that not tested? That's really frustrating. I hate it when that happens.
It's extremely frustrating.
It's
Now,
really,
I will tell
really.
now, while there are probably mistakes that happened early on in this investigation, I can say that the current detective that's in charge of this case,
Mm,
his name is Mickey Hamilton. He's done a wonderful job, and he is dedicated to solving this.
good. Yeah.
Which seems to happen a lot, right? Where
Yeah. You
things
get
don't
somebody
happen at the
that's,
beginning, but then you finally get someone in there that's like, "Okay, we need to get this
yeah,
case
we need to get this solved.
solved."
Yeah. And that's what you need, isn't it? You
Mhm.
need somebody looking at it like that. You need somebody who's going to come in and say, "Right, why wasn't this done? Why wasn't that
Yep.
done? Why haven't
Mhm.
why isn't?" It's frustrating because it needs to be done.
Yep.
Somebody needs to come
Now,
in and do that for this case, definitely.
let me before we go on, let's kind of talk about Jim Hunt. So, of course, Jim Hunt would be a suspect because there was
Yeah.
altercations between them
Yeah.
leading up to it. Now, he did take a polygraph test, which came back as inconclusive.
Okay.
However, they did test some of the DNA that was recovered from her,
Mm.
which was not a match to Jim.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's still some DNA out there that they haven't tested. I would feel like if she was at Jim's house the whole
Mm.
weekend, wouldn't it be weird if you didn't find any of his DNA on her body?
Exactly. There should be some trace DNA, surely. If she was sort of living at his house,
Mhm.
then surely there would be some kind of trace DNA of his.
Yeah,
I don't know. That seems strange again.
it's very, very strange.
It just seems frustrating to me that there's so many possibilities of what they can what they can test, and they haven't preserved the evidence in case, because once you don't preserve it, that's it, it's gone. You can't then re-preserve it afterwards. So, I mean, I would be inclined to think, okay, we just take everything and we save everything just in case. Because this is crazy.
Yeah.
There's nothing linking her to this area that we know of. There's no one coming forward saying, yeah, we saw her here, or yeah, we did this. So that makes me think, okay, we need to then look at where she was found, what was around her, what was it, who is this person that saw her, what did they see, how reliable are they, were they going to work, were they paying attention? Obviously the person that found her, they've obviously found her, so they've got all their sort of explanation of what happened there and then. But I mean, like, the witness that said they saw a car pulled over there, well, where were they going, what were they doing? That
Yeah,
would be interesting. What time was that?
exactly.
It's
So I think,
frustrating, isn't it?
and the problem with this too, I mean, we've mentioned it so many times now already. The problem with this case now is that the people that have some sort of information about this
Mm.
case are either involved in drug use or drug
Yeah.
trafficking.
Yeah.
So it's not the most reliable
No,
of
exactly.
persons
Yeah.
to get information from.
And they're going to be hiding stuff because they were taking drugs, and
Yeah,
they're not going to
of
give up
course
the
they
person
are.
that gave them the drugs, are they? Because they're not going to get any more. So.
Exactly. I think the key to this case is Jim Hunt's house, right? I think it's someone
Do
from
you?
Jim's house.
Do you?
I do. I do.
Okay.
I think it's someone that was at Jim Hunt's house that weekend. I think that Karen's presence at Jim's house might have caused a problem for the sale of drugs that were supposed to be happening that weekend.
Okay.
And why she was asked to leave because of the issues that she was causing created a police presence
Yeah,
at the
of
home and
course.
in the area.
Yeah. So you
Right.
can understand why people would be pissed off of her creating havoc.
What situation was like, okay, she's causing problems for us. She's bringing attention to us. We need to get
But
rid of
why
her.
kill her? Why not just go and put her in the car and dump her out somewhere like that? So make her walk back. Why kill her? What has happened to the
But
point where someone's got, do you know how hard it is to strangle somebody like an
oh yeah,
adult? So somebody's actually taken the time to physically throttle this woman. Why? Now the that suggests to me something more personal, I think, because I mean, they could have just driven her out to that road 20 miles away, dumped her off in that thing, and gone back to the party none the wiser. There's a reason somebody's killed her. That's got to be, you don't just throttle someone
what if?
for
Here's the
nothing.
thing: we don't know what led to her finally leaving Jim's house, right?
No.
So the assumption is, and this is actually from the people at Jim's house, said that she was there up until about 3 a.m. At which point she left, and he didn't see her again. We don't know what occurred between the time that she was seen by the police walking down 14th Avenue and 3 a.m. Who's to say that, or who's not to say that, leading up to 3 a.m. that there was another altercation and maybe she threatened to call the police on them because of the sale of drugs occurring in the home.
Maybe.
Right?
Yeah.
Maybe she's threatening someone who is willing to kill her to silence her, right? So if she's threatening to call the police on someone and they go, well, you're not doing that because I'm going to kill you. That could easily have occurred.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then everyone in that house is going to keep their mouth shut because
Because of the drugs. Yeah.
they're either doing drugs
Or
or
they're
they're selling
selling
drugs that
drugs.
night.
Yeah. 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 People have killed each other for less, haven't they? So
Yeah.
it's interesting. I mean, I think it's very interesting. I'd be very. I don't think you could. The thing is, with the allegiances changing over time, but with something like that, I can't see that people are going to come forward and say, "Look, this happened, and this is why." Because there's a small number of people in that house. I mean, it's a house. There's a small number of people in there. They're going to know if you go to the police and you say, "Look, this is what happened," chances are they're going to know it was one of a certain amount of people. So it's not going to take too long to deduce down who it was that went to the police about it. So that's very plausible that it could have been somebody from the house. She's something to do with the drugs, and she's they've done it to silence her. They've driven her out and dumped her. But I don't know. I'm wondering whether she went back to the house and then I don't know. I mean, she was nude. So why was she nude? Why? Because did her clothes have something on them that they were worried about? There's a reason somebody took all her clothes off. It's either going to be sexual or it's going to be to remove evidence. And they
Yeah.
know that they've stripped her
Remove
completely.
evidence.
Exactly. They know that they've stripped her completely bare, naked, and then they've just tossed her out of the car or taken her out of the car. So what was all over her clothes? Did she fight with somebody? Did she get covered in blood? Is it blood that
Yeah.
they found on her body? Is that where they got the DNA from? Did she have an argument with somebody like that and they've stripped her down because their blood is on, they can physically see the blood on her clothes and they're worried then about, oh my God, look, I can physically see my DNA's on her body, and they've taken it off and done it like that. That's quite plausible.
Mm-hmm.
But again, there's so many questions as to who. I'm thinking male. I'm thinking it's a guy.
Yeah.
I'm thinking it's a man. Because I'd be interested to know if there was any drag marks from the car, because I can't see a man scooping in the car and picking her up and carrying her out and lying her down. I would imagine they've pulled her out of the car, dragged her along and lay her down. So I'd be interested to know what the scene was like there.
I think it was more than one person. I think it was at least two males that were involved in at least disposing of her
trying
body.
to silence her for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Wow. That's
Now
horrible
here's
for her
the.
family.
I mean, I don't know how many witnesses are still around from that weekend, because let's be quite honest. I'm sure that the drug use that was occurring or coming in and out of that house was probably illicit, right?
Yeah.
How many people that were there that weekend? It's been now, what, 14 years?
14, yeah.
How many are still with us? Because we know that, with the opioid epidemic,
Yeah.
how many people have died?
Yeah.
How many people that were in and out of that house, how many have had overdoses?
Yeah.
How many are still dealing drugs, so they're not going to come forward?
They're not going to come forward. No, that's right.
I mean, the only way it's going to happen is if someone has this come to Jesus moment.
Yeah, has a prick of conscience. Yeah.
Yeah. They've come clean. They're clean. They have a prick of conscience, and they're like, I have to say something.
I have to come clean. That's a sad reality of this case, because the DNA part of things, they didn't preserve evidence so well at the scene, unfortunately, and that there's no going to be a lightning bolt moment where you go, wow, that is so and so. That's what it's going to be. It's going to be a crack in the DNA and the genealogy side of things, possibly. And then you go, well, why is your DNA on this woman? Why is there five different people's DNAs on the woman? There's a reason why she's got 5, and I'd be interested to know that's very crucial. I think, what DNA, how did they find her? What has she got on her that could possibly explain what happened?
Yeah, I think you're right, because, I mean, any DNA on the body is going to be helpful, but if it's blood and it's from someone else, that would, to me, indicate there was some sort of struggle.
Yeah.
Which it kind of seems like it. Now, this is what I would be interested too, because the police in the autopsy report say that there was bruising around, over her body. So had she been attacked?
Yeah.
Before she was strangled? Was she beaten before she was strangled? That's a question I would want to know.
Yeah, and of course, with also bruising, I would like to see what stage the bruises were at, because bruises don't always. I mean, I know sometimes they do, but they don't always keep appearing after death, because obviously the blood flow stops in the body. So I know that there can be sometimes where a bruise will form after death, but quite a lot they don't. If it's recent, really, really recent. So if she was perhaps killed like an hour before she was found, or then perhaps, or beaten a little while before she was murdered, then perhaps those bruises won't have come out yet. So are those bruises old bruises? Are we talking about new bruises? What kind of bruises are we talking about?
You know what? That's a really good point, because let's say hypothetically that she was attacked and beaten in the home, in Jim's home, right?
Which is not far from when she went missing.
Yeah, exactly. And then he was like, okay, you need to get rid of her.
Yeah, get rid of her.
Right? I mean,
Yeah.
that could very well happen. Here's a question
Yeah.
too, like, what did the police do, with in investigating Jim in the home? Did they go into the home? Did they actually, like, search the home? Did they, look for any signs of
Yeah.
blood in the home?
Exactly. I mean, that's another thing.
Mhm.
Did they do a check on the house? Did they look to see? I mean, obviously her blood is going to be in the bathroom possibly because of the kicking in the door and hitting her in the head. I
Yeah.
mean,
Oh, no,
could that
absolutely,
have been a
yeah.
cover up? Could that have
Mhm.
happened? You don't know, do you? I mean,
Well, yeah,
interesting.
because the wound on her head,
Mm,
it obviously occurred before death because there was dry blood on
mm,
her forehead.
yeah. And did the police see that? Did the police see the blood on her? Did that happen before he
That would
saw her or after?
well, if the wound or the injury to her head, if that was from Jim kicking in or pushing in the door and hitting her,
Yeah.
that would have been before
Before the
the
police,
pu
so the
the
policeman would have
but yeah,
seen that on her head.
exactly, yes.
Okay. So in that case then, there should be some kind of blood or trace evidence on the door of the bathroom. Did
Mhm.
they go in and check for definite that that's what happened?
But look, if that would the blood be on her head for I'm just gonna throw out a number, 10 hours?
No, well, it could have been because if she's off of if she's not, she's on drugs, she might, you don't always. I don't think your cognitive behavior is going to be like if you're not on drugs. So it could
Yeah.
be that she is ignoring that. Like sometimes if you have had too much to drink, you've been on a night out and you say fall
Yeah.
over and bash yourself. You're not that aware at the time. You're like, "Ow, that hurt," but
Mhm.
the bruising is not that sore. And then the next day you get up and you're like, "Man, what the hell did I do? My knees are killing me,"
Yeah.
or whatever. So could it be that she's not even realized too much that it was that bad because of what substances she was already on? And yeah, the wounds dried and she's not really paid much attention to it. But there should be blood in the
Right.
house then. If her head is bleeding, there should be
Mhm.
blood in that bathroom. So have
Yeah.
they verified that that's what happened, that it was a door that did that to her? Because that would be also
Mhm.
very interesting to know for definite. Did that actually definitely occur or is that just a cover up?
Exactly.
You know?
Because I'm sure they asked him. I'm sure they went and said, "Hey, there was a, some
Mm.
injury to her forehead. How did that happen?" "Oh, I kicked the door and it hit her in the head."
Yeah, so okay, prove that. I want to know that that definitely happened. I want to see.
Let's see where the blood is,
Let's see where
there
the
has
blood
to be
is. Like,
some
show me
sort of
where
trace
that
of blood
happened.
in this
Yeah,
bathroom
yeah.
from her.
Show me the door off of its hinges, or show me where you push the door in. Show me how that happened. Did they check that? Ah, so
You
many
know,
questions. So many questions.
while Jim Hunt may not have been directly involved in her murder, I feel like and when I say directly, I don't. He may not have put the ligature around her neck and been pulled. I
Mm.
still feel like he has some sort of responsibility in her death.
I just don't know. I just don't know. I don't. There's so many unanswered questions. There's quite a lot of questions that I would ask
Mhm.
that we don't have an answer to that would be very interesting to know. It'd be very interesting to speak to the detective to see what did
Yeah,
they check? What did they
mhm.
go and do? Because that would be really useful, I think, in this investigation to know because
I agree.
it is like that. They find that sex workers, people that are on drugs, people tend not to care too much as a society that something's happened to them. It tends to be, it doesn't shock us anymore that a sex worker's found dead. It's not news. It's not, you don't get that at the front page of Twitter. Oh my God, we found a person who's addicted to drugs dead and they've
Yeah,
possibly been murdered. But
which
why not?
it's frustrating because
There's
these are
somebody's
still
wife,
people.
somebody's mum, somebody's
Exactly.
daughter, and they
Yeah,
still have feelings and it may be a
they
drug
have.
addict to the police, but it's somebody's
Mhm.
mum.
It's a disease.
Yeah,
Addiction is
it
a
is.
disease, and they
And I
need to
know,
be
I mean, yeah,
treated with
they do.
respect and dignity.
Yeah. And that's hard though, isn't it? Because when you do have somebody who's under the influence like that, sometimes they can be so hard to work with, to talk to deal with, to have around you. So you can see how people do get just completely exasperated by it and are just like, do you know what? You're too much hard work. We've had enough. But in this case, I just don't think it seems very straightforward to me. Some things, there's
Mhm.
something missing. Somebody's not telling something is not right in the timeline. There's something between the 3 o'clock policeman and the, and finding her. Something's not
Yeah,
quite
we're
right there.
talking. There's a 4 to 5 hour window where
did she go?
Things aren't being said.
Is there any
There's.
CCTV there? Have they checked CCTV? Have they checked that kind of stuff?
I don't. Yeah, I don't. I
Or
don't
have
know.
they made much of an effort, to be honest? Have they made much of an effort to actually investigate this? It would be interesting to find out what they
Recently,
did.
yeah, I would say
Yeah,
recently, yes.
recently, but at the time, not really.
But Detective Hamilton is the 3rd lead detective on this case already.
Oh wow, okay.
So
I'd like to talk to him. Yeah.
Did the first detective, the second detective, did they put the effort that Detective Hamilton has into this case?
Wow, I don't know.
I don't know, because this is easily a case where you can just throw it to the back of the filing cabinet, and you be like, well, no one's really gonna worry about it
No,
or
that's
think
right.
about it.
Yeah.
But it's bullshit, because
Yeah.
once again, this is a person. They have a family.
Mm.
She has 3 kids that want to know what happened to her.
Exactly.
They want justice.
Yeah, exactly. The kids want to know what happened to their mum and who's responsible, because whoever it is has got away scot-free. So who is it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's someone has to know. I mean, this is someone who is I'm going to say is at least familiar with the Rochester, Washington area.
Mm.
Someone who is driving
vehicle.
a distinctive vehicle.
Mm.
This is a distinctive
But
vehicle.
That's if the person who witnessed that's if they're correct. There's a big difference between the Datsun and the camper van or whatever it is they said it was.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So are they, I mean, we've had it before. We've done cases where they say, oh, it was a light coloured van. And then you find out it wasn't at all. It was something totally different. And it's like, well, no, it wasn't even a van. So,
Mm-hmm.
How reliable is that witness? That's interesting. Wow, this is a crazy case. Yeah, I mean, this is crazy.
It is. This is a case where if you look at everything just from, this is the facts. Okay, this is what we know. This is one of those cases that you would have thought would have been solved, right?
Yeah, definitely.
You have a body dumped out in the open. You're not taking too much effort to conceal it. Yeah. You have really good information about her whereabouts leading up to her death, where she was, who she was around, who was, you would absolutely think 100% this one should have been solved.
Yeah. Crazy.
Extremely crazy. So that is our case for this week. This is definitely a case that we are going to follow and provide updates as they come forward.
Definitely. It'd be interesting if we can get to speak to Detective Hamilton. I'd quite be interested to speak and see what he says. So maybe we might do a follow-up.
Absolutely.
On this one.
Definitely. So there you go.
Thank you very much. That's a really interesting case.
It is.
Crazy again. It's a hair pulling out episode again. Again,
exactly.
Too many questions. Just too many questions. So something else I wanted to just quickly talk to you about before we get on to our dumb criminal and the funny bits of the show. I signed up recently to so when we did the case of CJ Davis, and thank you for all your feedback on that one. We had another guest in, a guy called Martin Linton, and he is a gangs. He doesn't like to be called a gangs expert, but he's a gangs lecturer. So he basically teaches people about gangs. He also teaches police forces. He's been in America teaching people. And he's got this home counties training seminar that he's holding in October. I think it's the 21st of October. And you can actually sign up. So this is something that you're interested in. I am signed up to the Gang Culture and Methodology webinar, and there's another one which is an approved knife crime awareness course that I've also signed up to. And you can do that from going to his website. So if you go to martinlinton.com, and it's Martin with a TYN, martinlinton.com. I think I've shared it on my Twitter and I've shared it on my socials. You can actually take part in a webinar that will teach you. I know that a lot of people have come forward and said to me, like, how can I do this? Is there anything else we can do to help, in regards to CJ and his mum? And this kind of thing, I think everybody should be aware of. If you've got kids, if you haven't got kids and you're just interested, it was £20 for the seminar. But with that, if you're one of the first so many people, you also get access to extra ones as well. It's a certificated course, so it's also really interesting. So if that's something you're interested in, just check out his website and have a look and see. I'm looking forward to it. I'll let you know. What was that?
Oh, sorry.
What are
That was
you
my computer.
doing?
My computer binging at me.
Bling.
Bling.
Oh, so go and check it out. That'll be good.
That sounds really interesting. Awesome.
Yeah. I'll let you know how it goes.
All right, Sherry. So how about we finish up this week's episode with a dumb criminal?
Hey, Captain Stupid Poopy Pants, use a dummy.
Okay, so this one is a bit of a dummy. So when police in Vancouver in Canada asked to search Jason Porche's apartment for drugs, he actually wasn't a suspect. So they were actually looking for something else. Okay. So I don't know why they were searching his apartment for drugs, but they were actually looking for somebody else. But when they looked at his name on his cell phone, it actually said Jason Poche, drug dealer, on his cell phone.
Oh, shut up. No.
What an idiot. So, I don't understand what the guy was doing or why you would list yourself in a phone as drug dealer, but they obviously caught him from that. Didn't want to forget the fact that he actually did deal drugs himself.
It's like, what's my job?
Yeah.
Oh, drug dealer.
What do I do? So I've got actually, because that one wasn't very long, but I have got another funny one for you.
Okay.
So we had two men who went to a back to school office supply store, like back to school event. Okay.
Yeah.
They thought at this time will be perfect chance to do some shoplifting. Okay. Because all the store clerks will be busy with all the influx of shoppers and stuff.
Yeah.
However, the sale happened to coincide with the annual Shop with a Cop Day, and there were 60 police officers that showed up to help children pick out school supplies in that store at the same time. I thought that one was so funny. Can you imagine? That's like the worst time to pick to shoplift, thinking everyone's going to be busy when actually everyone's shopping with a police officer.
The only thing worse is if someone like called and like, hey, can you please page my friend? His name is Jason. He's a drug dealer.
Yeah, exactly.
Jason,
what was your
the drug
name?
dealer.
Yeah, could you please come to aisle 3? But how stupid! Like, come on. That's so funny.
I don't think there's ever a good time to shoplift. I don't think you look at your calendar like, oh look, Thursday, good shoplifting.
Let's go now. Yeah, it's OAP day. Let's go. But I mean, how do criminals even do that? I mean, how do they even sit there and think, okay, well, this would be a good time for us to go and there's a program over here. You probably don't get over there. It's called Brassic. And it's so funny. And the criminals in that are hilarious. And that's what they do. They go to the pub and they sit down. They go, right, how are we going to make some money this week? And they're like, oh, okay, we can steal this or we can do that. And like the latest one, because it's just come season 3 has just finished. And it's only been released in the beginning of October, and I've just finished it. And in one of them, he's like comes in and he's like, right, okay, what can we do? And it's like, okay, well, let's go and steal these bees. And they end up going and stealing bees because these bees are worth a lot of money. And I think that's probably what they do. They just sit down and think, right, okay, how are we going to get some money? What do we do? Let's do this. Let's go to a school like store where they sell back to school supplies. I mean, what were they going to shoplift? Printers?
Yeah. Pencils.
Like what? Yeah, exactly.
Pencils,
there must be a high demand
erasers.
for pencils in Canada. Oh, it's crazy.
Need some erasers and pencils and maybe some,
gonna make them
some folders.
Mint. Yeah.
Some trapper keepers.
How weird. What a weird store to go and shoplift
crazy.
from.
There has to be a better place.
It's got to be. Yeah, it's got to be. So yes, thank you very much for listening to us this week. It's nice to have you along with us. And thank you for all your 5-star reviews and your reviews in general. It's been really, really great to read what you think of the show. And we're really humbled by those. And it's really helped us a lot as well, getting us up in the charts, helping get us our little award, which we're going to talk about forever now.
Forever.
So yeah, check us out on our socials. We're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram. And we will be back next week with another case. So for now, be nice.
And bye.